Indiscriminate revenue gathering is absolutely disgusting, and governments and the police force need to hang their heads in shame. My name is Stan. I'm a retired sergeant of the police force for 14 years. I was also a police prosecutor at times, so I know what I'm talking about. I spent half my life in magistrates' courts during my time in the force. I was only ever a very fair copper, and I am proud of my time in the job, looking after the interests of citizens, often to the detriment of my family and my health. I never booked any driver for a trifling offense, ever. People committing trifling offenses commonly used to get a warning and a licensed vehicle check. It had to be serious before I booked anyone. I am so annoyed at what is happening these days in what I call indiscriminate revenue gathering. It is absolutely disgusting. Government and the police force need to hang their heads in shame. If you did a survey of current serving members of the police force in this country, you would be hard-pushed to find many who disagree with me. I know how the legal system works, and I know how to beat the system. This is how to do it. And if about 10% of all drivers booked follow my specific instructions, then the entire system will crash and become unworkable for the extent that the government will have no choice but to stop issuing fines for every type of traffic offense. The whole lot of them. Seriously. I do not feel guilty about coming out with this information, as I think it is about time someone stood up for hard-working, civil-minded, law-abiding taxpayers in this country who are being screwed. This is very simple and very basic. The idea is to clog up the system in the traffic camera office and the courts by drivers exercising their rights to remain innocent until proven guilty. Simple, basic legal steps to follow. Let me say here, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not giving legal advice. I'm just reading this article. And also this copper, as he says, is from Australia. So this is specific to Australia, but you'll see the advice is kind of universal. Do not accept the alleged offense. There are numerous valid reasons to dispute every single alleged offense. Often the charges are incorrect or the evidence is illegally or incorrectly gathered. Challenge it. Tell them that you are going to defend the matter. Make them earn their miserable $150 or $200 or whatever. They have to prepare evidence and witnesses. Just the wages for the camera operator or the policeman on the day of the court will be more than the actual fine. So you're also taking a camera operator or a member of the police force off the street for the day. But it won't get to that point. Read on. If a court date is ever set and it does not suit you, do not accept it. Ask for a delay to a time and a place that suits you. When they reset the date, delay it as often as possible. Keep pleading not guilty all through the process. You have every right to be sick or to go for an adjournment if the day does not suit for any legitimate reason. For example, you may have pressing family or work commitments which prevent you from attending a particular court on a particular day. If it ever actually gets to court, which is unlikely if everyone does this, if you are unwell that day, ring the court in the morning and tell them you cannot make it as you are sick. The camera operator and a police prosecutor will already be at the court and will be greatly inconvenienced by having to come back another day. The whole time this is going on, the amount of paperwork involved at the traffic camera office is huge. Several staff are involved, and it is rapidly becoming very costly, probably running into thousands. With me so far? Keep reading. The court system is then placed under such a massive load by people who wanted their day in court that it simply will not be able to cope unless they open up about another 50 magistrate courts. This is obviously going to cost the government a lot more than any revenue raised. If all the above fails, which is highly unlikely, and you actually go to court and get convicted, you have the right to appeal. Make sure you appeal the conviction. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to see what happens. They are not going to spend millions chasing hundreds. Tell everyone you know to challenge their alleged offenses and the entire system will crash within a few weeks. Please pass this on, and always remember that you are innocent until proven guilty, and that there is a very high probability that the evidence used against you is wrong. You have every right to challenge any alleged offense. This is why courts exist, so use them a lot. And again, just with anything, our power, the people power, is in numbers. If everyone challenges it, they'll be completely overwhelmed, and they'll have to stop writing petty offense tickets. Just our power is in our numbers, and their power is in that we don't use our numbers. I did a quick scroll down and just screenshotted a couple good comments here. This guy says, a couple early comments expressed doubt this would work in the USA. I always encourage everyone, if you have time to deal with the system, always challenge and always insist on a fair outcome. If you screwed up, accept it, pay it, and move on. But if your case is an example of indiscriminate revenue gathering, well, you have a responsibility to the rest of us, as well as to yourself, to defend your good reputation all the way through the justice process. And generally, even in the U.S. court system, reasonable delays are granted and can eventually lead to a stale case or even a dismissal. Indifference or laziness by U.S. citizens enables the growing police corruption we all hate. The fix starts with each of us. Actually, it does work in America. I checked a book out of the library called Fight That Ticket, and I fought 7 moving violations within a 10-month period in California and got 6 of the 7 off my record. This guy needs to be serious. Those all aren't mistakes. This guy's a terrible driver, apparently. One time at my arraignment, I asked for a change of venue to the county seat. The judge was completely baffled and said, "In my 20 years on the bench, I've never witnessed such a thing. Why do you want to change of venue?" I simply explained that in my small town, the judges and officers all know each other and would be biased, so I wanted to be tried in the county seat for impartiality. He said I was within my rights and had to grant my wish. Since the county seat was a good 45 minutes drive from my town, I knew the officer would have more difficulty than I in showing up. Sure enough, the officer was not present, and that judge had the gall to ask if I wanted to reschedule, to which I responded no, of course, and the judge was forced to dismiss my case. If I had not started fighting every ticket from the time I received my first one, I may even have lost my license by the time that year was passed, having too many points against me within the first 6 months already. I mean, probably should lose your license. 7... Anyway, we do have the right to fight our citations, and if everyone did this regularly, it would clog up the system and the cops would be forced into writing up only the more serious fines and not be so quick to write us up for petty, stupid offenses. This guy says, I challenged 1 ticket in Massachusetts and the officer that issued the ticket didn't show up, so I won by default. The other time, they sent another officer who was not the one issuing the ticket. I argued that there was no one there that was an actual witness to the crime. The judge explained that this officer was filling in and reading the report that was filed. I explained that the report isn't evidence, it's one side of the story, and I'm innocent until proven guilty. No witnesses, no proof. So I denied all the charges. The judge made some comment about trusting the word of the officers over mine. I respectfully told him that he is required to be unbiased and render judgment based solely on the evidence that he just revealed that he is, by default, biased in favor of the officers. I continued to maintain my innocence and also said that I am within my rights to face my accuser in a court of law, since I don't see my accuser here. Only someone reading what the accuser wrote. After about 15 minutes of this, the judge looked irritated with me but acknowledged that I was correct and dismissed the charges. Yeah, and this is just proof. The judges and prosecutors are just as complicit as the officers in this. So they're not going to easily let you out. And this guy wrote, people need to use this and jury nullification as much as possible. And the response is, the simple fact you know about jury nullification means you'll never get the chance to use it. No prosecutor in their right mind would allow you to contaminate the jury. And ain't that the truth? So if everyone should know what jury nullification is. And if you do, and you're ever called on a jury, do not let them know that you know what that is.